Used to like being alone. Now I'm just lonely when everyone's gone. All of my thoughts go creeping in, try to drown out the silence, like that one friend on a mission to remind you of all the stupid things you've said, and all of the embarrassment replaying in my mind. I'm traveling through time, always looking backwards or ahead. Can't sit still in this fleeting moment while everything is fine. I'm traveling through time. Wish it was more like the movies in my time machine. Oh yeah. Guess I'll never be as cool as Keanu Reeves. Oh no. They say no guts, no glory, but this won't be the end of my story. Traveling through time, not all it's cracked up to be. All the stupid things you've said, and all of the embarrassment replaying in my mind. I'm traveling through time, always looking backwards or ahead. Can't sit still in this fleeting moment while everything is
Restream was being a little slow there. All right. Hey, good evening. Sorry. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, podcast, and all the other good things, fans of all ages. Sorry about that. We're trying to get Joe on. But thanks for joining us on the political deep dive on sorry about that.
He's
Dave
Dave
Valente.
Valente. Filled
Yeah,
with cough.
I'm dying here.
Exactly. Well, you say you're dying and you got a cough, but you're not in a coffin, so it's not that bad.
This is true. This is true.
Filled with puns. And of course, I am Dan Fishman.
Dandy
Dan,
Dan
the
Fish.
man Dan from Let Dot Live. We're happy that you guys are here with us tonight. I mean, I wish it had been a more eventful news week because we don't really have much to talk about. I was thinking one of the things that we could talk about was in DC, a bunch of figure skaters held a charity event to raise money for the families that lost people in the airplane crash.
Yes.
And Tara Lipinski skated, Johnny Weir. It's just astonishing to me that these guys who haven't really skated in quite a while, at least competitively.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, guys. I don't want to talk about that.
Well, I mean, it was nice to see the skating community come together and do that in DC for the families that lost, because there was a notable contingent of skaters, young skaters, not quite like the national names or anything, but young skaters that
the future of U.S. skating, sadly, a lot of it was there, and in that respect, it was tragic. It was nice to see everybody get together. But that was probably the least eventful. Janice, thank you for the beard. Fingers crossed, it's not going to last that much longer.
Yeah, they're coming home.
Well,
slowly but surely.
Yeah, slowly but surely.
How many are left?
When I see it, I believe there are 6 living hostages left.
Okay.
And we'll see. But hopefully, all the hostages will be home, and then I don't know. Maybe I'll share it for. Maybe I'll figure out some way to shave it for a charity, for a fundraiser, for something.
There you go.
Craig asked a great question. What was the bumper music, Dave?
Yes, the bumper music was a song called Keanu Reeves, and by an artist named Isla June, Isla June. Very very catchy song. I like that song.
Yeah, it was
I
really good. We've had some good music recently.
Yeah, I've well, so it used to be that if you put like commercial music on there, you get a nasty gram from Facebook.
But now
Um,
it's shared
yeah,
revenue.
they say share revenues, which
Awesome.
you share all my revenues. You can take everything that I generate on this show because it's nothing.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's a very fair. It's the most equitable method of shading of
Yeah.
yeah. But it is a anyway. It was nice. You've been having some really great music recently. We probably should put together a playlist on the
Yeah.
Political Deep Dive website. For those of you who haven't been to the Political Deep Dive website, please check it out at. I'm just kidding. We don't have a website yet.
Well, we got a Facebook page.
We have a Facebook page.
We do.
We do.
Um,
We could make a playlist there.
Sure. Yeah, I can put one there. I've got some. I actually spent a good time this evening getting some new songs for next few episodes. So um, some Watch House and some Marcus King. So be on the lookout for that. A Blues Traveler song or two. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So yeah, the not a lot of stuff to discuss this week because there's just no news. Like it's been quiet this week, incredibly quiet.
Yeah.
I
Like
mean, there was that
silence.
meeting in the in the Oval Office.
Well, it
It
was
went swimmingly.
so so I'm going to assume that everybody knows what happened, and they haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it,
Hope so.
view the footage of it. Uh, and I am very much a Russia is going to go as far as they can sort of person, and I believe that opposing Russia, especially when it's with other people's troops, is a pretty cheap way to maintain, uh, to be on the side of the forces of freedom. However, I do think that there's plenty of blame to go around in that meeting. And
There there was, but I think that was an opportunity for the administration to break Zelensky over the coals for Vladimir Putin.
well, but I wish that he could have. Well, for example, ask me why I'm not wearing a suit in the Oval Office.
You're not in the Oval Office.
No,
Why
no.
are you not wearing the suit in the Oval?
That was the question that sort of started the downfall. It was asked by Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, who was there sort of in disguise as a reporter.
Yeah.
And that's where Zelensky got a little testy. But that question, I mean, first of all, they probably should have seen it coming. But secondly, the answer is, Mr. President, when this war is over in Kiev, in the Great Palace, we will have a ball. I will wear a suit, and my wife will wear a gown, and you will come, and your beautiful princess, Melania, will be there, and she will wear a beautiful
Melania.
dress, and we will dance together. But until that time, while my country is at war, I do not wear suits. We do not wear
Well, I mean,
clothing of
there's
celebration.
there are pictures in of Winston Churchill visiting the White House wearing combat uniform, not essentially a combat uniform, but I mean he was wearing fatigues in World War II because they were at war. You know, if you are so offended, why weren't you offended that First Daddy Alania was wearing a tech support T-shirt under his blazer at the cabinet meeting and leading the cabinet meeting, which was kind of embarrassing too.
I
Um,
mean, there's no, yeah, but
the
see that
hypocrisy is
I think that there we're missing diplomacy. Okay, it's not a quid pro quo, and Zelensky's not in a case where he gets to say use whataboutism and say what about this person, what about that?
Well,
Because
he
that
did.
you lose.
Well, he didn't. That's what other people are saying. He's saying, I
Right.
mean, first off, he's using his third language. Like,
Yeah, no, no, it's true.
I mean, he should have.
I mean, look,
This was an attack.
yeah,
This
yeah.
was an
Trump,
attack
Trump,
by
Trump and Vance were complete dicks. There's no question about that. They
yeah.
blew that. Um, and a lot of it was intentional. But, you have to go into a meeting like that thinking that they're trying to make you look bad. And, especially, Zelensky, you're right. It's his third language. So uh, that is definitely a disadvantage.
Yeah.
But you have to
And not like Trump is a master of the English language,
no,
but
not at all. But the thing is Trump is a child. I mean, Trump is
yes.
really like a child. And you can't
I mean, he should have smacked him. I mean, honestly, if Zelensky just popped him in the face,
yeah.
I think it would
I
have been awesome.
yes, but I mean that would have been the end of the end. As it is now, I'm not sure what the right solution for Ukraine is.
Right now, the Ukraine should be looking at that minerals deal and going to its European allies. Like,
I was actually thinking they should have
move the United States to the back of the list, and failing that, then look at
I
China,
was
then look at
that's what I was going to say. I was going to say
India
China.
or India.
India's got nothing. India's got nothing but people and problems. They're not a player on the stage militarily, and
But they
the
got money.
economy is okay, but they have some money, but China would have been a much better opportunity because
Oh,
China
sure.
has the ability to, sort of defend their investment. I
Yeah.
do, like I was thinking about this the other day. Uh, it would have been very interesting if if we had complete foresight. We knew the invasion was coming, right? The big invasion in Kiev.
Yeah.
It would have been very interesting to suddenly have joint maneuvers in Ukraine with the 101st Airborne and other troops.
I
Uh,
mean, it's so strange that we've gone from a situation where people are talking about, do we invite Ukraine to NATO, to the point of, does the United States leave NATO?
right, right, and it's interesting too. Let's make sure that everybody on the show does not repeat the lie that the United States made any commitment to not allow NATO to expand east. At one point in time, the Russians suggested that, and because it was a negotiation, people talked about that, but it was never agreed to.
Yeah.
The West never agreed, nor would America ever make a deal where they talk about another country's sovereign powers. The United States, at least I mean prior to this president, the United States would never make a deal saying, "Oh yeah, we can commit this country to doing that or to not doing that." We believe
Yeah.
that countries have the principle of self-determination, and so it is. It is not a. That part was never true. There was, however, a signed memorandum, and for me, that's it. If you got a piece of paper with some signatures on it saying that the U.S. and Russia were committed to the sovereignty of Ukraine.
Oh yeah,
That
it's a
was the
treaty
deal.
that got the nuclear weapons out of Ukraine.
Exactly. And I tell you what, it would have been a completely different war if Ukraine still had those nuclear weapons.
Absolutely. I mean,
And
there would not have been an invasion of Ukraine if Ukraine still had their nuclear weapons.
and here's the thing, okay? Whenever peace happens, Ukraine is going to be hell bent on becoming a nuclear power. And they've got the capacity.
Yeah.
It's not like other countries, like, people are probably aware that Togo, one of the countries we had profile. Togo has
Togo
nuclear ambitions.
to go.
Yeah, Togo has nuclear ambitions to go. But this is the worst news of the week. Who wouldn't let you go? So Tom Queter was in Texas. And for those of you who know Austin and barbecue, there's a restaurant called the Salt Lick out in Driftwood, just south of Austin. It's awesome because it's a dry county. Texas still has dry counties.
Yeah.
Why is that awesome? Because you get to bring your own booze. So you're not spending a lot of money on
Nice.
booze when you go there. You bring, whatever you think are the best beer, wine, etc. The barbecue pit is giant. Like I couldn't even put my arms not around it. I couldn't put my arms around just a small portion of it. And they serve three things. And they only serve family style. They serve brisket, they serve beef sausage, and pork ribs. And that's it.
That's all you need.
That's all you need. And
That's
it's
the
family
holy. I
style.
mean, all due respect to Mirepoix, but that is the holy trinity. Like that is
Exactly. And so you sit down at the table and they keep serving you that until you say, no mas. And they say, okay, we're going to stop bringing you meat. But there is a dessert course,
oh
which is traditionally peach cobbler and
oh god.
blackberry cobbler with vanilla ice cream.
Why would you ever leave?
Oh, it is phenomenal. I mean, you go there and you just eat, and it is my favorite experience. So, Tom, I'm sad that you guys didn't get to go there this time. Fortunately, I think you guys are going to be back to Austin, Salt Lake, and there is one. So there is one in the airport, because commercialism and all that crap. The one in the airport is whatever it is. It's an airport restaurant.
Probably
Don't
has
think that you've
airport
been to the real,
prices.
yeah. Don't think that you've been to the real Salt Lake because you've been to the Salt Lake at Bergstrom Air Force, or it's not Air Force Base anymore, Bergstrom Airport. But all right, so let's circle back around to the to Ukraine and their race to become a nuclear power, which is the inevitable conclusion of this. And so then what's going to be really ugly is what will Russia do about that? Will Russia view them becoming a nuclear power the way we view Iran becoming a nuclear power?
Oh, I'm sure. And I think uh, you know, depending on how when this starts and who's in control, the question is, will the United States view
Yeah.
the Ukraine becoming a nuclear power favorably or unfavorably? I think generally, I think nations coming into the nuclear club is generally viewed as an unfavorable thing, but um, yeah, I mean there's definite worry that let's say this dust up gets worse between Trump and Zelensky. And I don't see the US coming in on the side of Russia as actually putting in troops or anything, but um, whether it starts putting pressure on its NATO allies to stop arming Ukraine is another thing. I mean, that's going to be a huge thing because I know the Brits have committed some more
Well,
weapons to the
e-
Ukrainians, but
exactly. And I mean, here's a very interesting thing about it is, how much of this is a game of musical chairs because a lot of the British forces, for example, the Polish forces, right? Ukraine is currently flying some F-16s. Those are American-made planes.
yeah,
Where do they come from? We sold them to Poland. And Poland is Ukraine's best ally, right? They're their best bud because nobody, no country in the world has been invaded by Russia more than Poland. In fact, it's a fun game that if you are really good at history, we can show you a map of Poland and you know what year it is, roughly,
yeah, sure,
because the Polish border has changed so many times.
yep.
So, and Poland is in NATO, which is interesting because Poland was a solid Soviet bloc country for a long time.
Until the 80s, and when Lech Walesa organized the workers against the Soviet bloc
Yep.
and eventually pushed them
Solidarity.
out. Yeah, solidarity.
The well, that's the end of their alliance, but they don't join NATO until a bit later, I think. I don't
Yeah,
remember
I
the
mean
exact
it was.
timeline.
I mean it was a number of years later, but it separating. Uh, I mean it was really that whole pivotal 1989 year where Berlin Wall falls and all the other
Right.
nations kind of push out their
Yep.
communist leadership. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I mean Poland's an interesting thing because they have everything to fear right now because if Ukraine falls, basically it's Poland, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. Those are the next countries that they all yeah, they all border Russia. Poland is more in the that Vladivostok area, that really weird enclave that's just north of them. Um, but yeah, they're right in the crosshairs.
Right. And the thing is that everybody except for Donald Trump and his supporters understand that this is a test for Putin. How much can he get away with? Because he thinks he can get away with Ukraine. He's certainly going to ask for parts of Poland. He might ask for, uh, well, I can't remember what the name is of the Russian enclave in between Estonia and Latvia.
That's Kaliningrad.
Kaliningrad. Thank you. But you might ask for a 20-mile wider path so you could drive back and forth from Russia to Kaliningrad, or
Direct access. Yeah.
something like that. I mean, all this stuff that this is just the first step. I mean, it's actually not the first step, right? Crimea was the first step, and maybe
Yep.
that wasn't the first step. Maybe Georgia and Ossetia was actually the first step. Uh, this has been an ongoing escalation. And are we slowing things back down? Are we doing anything to deter this expansion? Because the
Not
eh,
anymore.
well, and let's talk about why that's important. Because there's certainly a lot of people in the liberty movement who are non-interventionists, who believe we should never be involved in anything that's going to happen. And I think that is a bad it's a bad place to be, because if you have a situation where let's imagine a situation. One of my favorite sayings is, God made man, but Colonel Colt made him equal. But if you don't have firearms, right, you get a situation where people really start to believe might makes right, and
Yeah.
big bullies dominate the playground because they can't be stopped. One
Yep.
on one, the biggest bully can beat everybody else up. So the
I
only
mean,
option is for
I
people to work together.
to an extent, I mean, we've seen the United States get held off by the Taliban in Afghanistan and Viet Cong and Vietnam. I mean, yes, numbers wise, we killed more of them than they killed of us, but we weren't able to turn the tide of those battles. And essentially, when the United States, at the moment the United States leaves Afghanistan, it is Taliban central again. I mean, the status quo ante is just a lot of more buildings were blown up in during the American invasion of Afghanistan.
Sure.
I think,
I mean,
and we're looking. I mean, we're looking essentially at the same thing here. I mean, the Soviets learn the lesson with Afghanistan, but then they do the same thing in Ukraine. And Ukraine, it's. I mean, the prediction was in a couple days that Russian tanks would be moving into Kiev, and it never did. I mean, they bogged down. They underestimated the fighting resolve of the Ukrainian people, and I don't think that's going away
well,
anytime
I think they
soon.
massively overestimated their capacity as well, based
Yes,
on success in Syria, based on
and
the
really, I
success of the
mean,
Wagner Group in Syria against, just really people with no esprit de corps.
No, I
Um,
mean, it was a ragtag bunch of, you know, Al Qaeda-esque fighters that really just they didn't have the, formal training even that the Ukrainian military has or the regular Syrian military had, and we see what happened to Syria. Syria melts in really over a weekend,
right,
um, and so I I think Russia's ability, and here's the problem that I have with the idea of pushing for a ceasefire right now with Russia is that all you are doing is allowing Russia to rearm itself, to take some time to rearm itself, get more bullets, get more tanks, get more people um, back into the fray,
right.
and prepare themselves for another offensive.
Yeah, but
Ukraine has no real compunction to get into a ceasefire at this point. As long as Russia keeps just loading
so I
troops to the
agree with
front.
that. I agree
Yeah.
that Ukraine doesn't have a great incentive to get into a ceasefire. I will say that I mean it's an interesting question because if you uh, if you want to, right, a defensive position can be very, very strong and very and it's easier to play defense than it is to play offense. However, that only works if the people who are invading are not willing to go to the mattresses. One of the things that people talked about was the idea that the Russians considered using tactical nuclear weapons to break through the Ukrainian lines.
It's
And
stupid to think that they would do that.
I mean, it's stupid to think that they would invade in the first place.
Well, I think there was a calculated thought that they would shock and awe into getting into Kyiv, and once you get Kyiv, then the rest of the country would have fallen.
Sure,
I think
no,
that
I
was
mean,
their original calculation,
they they
and
they
now that
they,
they're
they thought they were doing a Desert Storm.
yeah, yeah, they thought that they would just storm right in, take Kyiv, and then
Yeah,
everything would just kinda melt away after that.
right.
The thing is, when that didn't happen, Putin couldn't just, "Oops, sorry," and pull out. That's
Right,
right now they're trying to save face,
right.
and, um, Putin's gonna look like a weakling if he withdraws I mean, uh,
Well,
the
I think
damage the withdrawal from Afghanistan for the Soviets was massive to reputational,
right.
um, to the reputation, which led to, the, Mikhail Gorbachev getting deposed for a
Right,
number of hours. Um,
right. It certainly is. It's interesting. I mean, I don't know how much that old guard is there. I don't know that that Putin's hold is that shaky, but I do think that regardless of what happens, I mean, Putin is hailed. Putin should be hailed in Russia as a master strategist. I mean, he has incapacitated the United States. He has,
oh,
direct
yeah.
control over the president of the United States at this point in time.
Oh, yeah.
It's
And
just,
that's,
it's insane.
and news stories out this week, about
I mean,
the
I
Trump
did see that in the
administration.
Russian press. The Russians are sort of celebrating, Trump dances to Putin's fiddle, and the
Yeah.
Russians are saying it. Then
Oh,
it's
it's out there
insane.
like that, and I don't think Trump really cares.
He
Uh,
doesn't care,
he doesn't care because he's in power right now,
right?
and as long as he has the title that I think he's okay with Elon
Say
Musk doing
whatever
what
they
he's
want. I'm the
doing. That
president of the United States.
yeah, I've got the title. I'm the
Yeah,
guy, even though he's got three daddies right now, and that's
right.
Putin, first daddy Alania, and ex Ash A12, whatever that kid's name is. I totally flamed him in the White House.
I Yeah, I think that you know Putin's got things are what they are. I mean, it's an interesting question too. Like, I wonder how bad things can go because, and this is the other thing that why, look, and again, Trump and Vance fucked it all up. They were terrible. But Macron and Keir Starmer had done an excellent job of buttering Trump up. Did you see the thing with Keir Starmer during the press
Oh yeah,
conference? These guys,
yeah.
I have an invitation for you from King Charles. You would be the only leader in the history of the world to ever have had a second state visit at the palace. I mean, and Trump loved that shit. You could see. I mean, he's
Oh
just
yeah.
like, I mean, that's the thing is that everybody knows how to manipulate him. And so Macron did a great job, and they came out of that speech, right? Trump comes out of it. He's like, it's important. France is our first ally, blah, 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 blah. All the shit that you want to say. And Macron did it right. And Keir Starmer did it right. And the Europeans come in there with a good plan. And then unfortunately, Zelensky just has too much pride to sit in that meeting and swallow shit because that's what it
Well,
was.
I mean, honestly, he shouldn't have had to swallow shit. It'd be nice if you have some
He shouldn't.
professional.
He shouldn't have had to. But I mean, this is the reality, right? You're dealing with now another bully, right? The United States has become another bully,
Yeah.
and so what do you do? How do you appease a bully?
Again, I think you. I mean, if I'm Zelensky at this point, I'm cutting off the idea of the United States coming in and being
But listen,
anything.
I mean, if things go bad, they go really bad for Ukraine, right? Starlink gets turned off. Uh, they don't have access to you know satellite intelligence anymore. Uh, all the stuff the United States has been giving them. Okay, I mean,
But they're the likelihood of them turning that stuff off anyway is happening. Like it, I don't think I don't think the U.S. is right now is a honest broker in this at all.
that would be.
And I can't you can't trust what's coming
I
from this administration. We've got an absolute fucking clown car of an administration.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that 100%. But here's the question: and this is a question of leadership. Uh, you know, what are you willing to do for your people?
Well, remember Barack Obama catching so much hell when he did the little apology tour at the beginning of his presidency. He went to like Cairo, Egypt, and a couple other places, and can't even remember what he was exactly what he was, but the amount of grief he got
I mean,
as a leader. If someone is dressing you down, like let's say if Donald Trump goes to Moscow and Vladimir Putin absolutely puts him in his place and basically calls him a lapdog and all the stuff that we think that he is when it comes to Putin, and he just takes it. What I mean, how does
the
that look to a domestic audience? Again, you're
uh,
playing to a domestic audience still when you're sitting in the White House
you know,
as the Ukrainian leader.
I think that
It was a
we're
no-win situation.
well. That's exactly it. It is a no-win situation, and so for me, I just think that, I mean, and essentially the essence is, and it's true for all of us. It's not just true for Zelensky. How do all of us survive 4 years of Trump? Okay, because things are going to get a lot worse.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I am convinced. The pardoning of the violent criminals who were involved in January 6th. That's a symbol. That's a sign. That is a message to people who want to see America be worse than it is that the message is if you support the president, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Whatever you want. And
And the Nazi symbolism that we've been seeing, the SWAT, uh,
the
the
Heil Hitler,
salutes and all that stuff.
yeah,
I mean, that's just a signal to If you want to be the worst of society, we're okay with that. You come join us, and we're going to give you protection.
Right.
When leaders of the movement are comfortable with doing that, there are going to be followers, and you're going to encourage people that.
Yep.
Do I think that there are people who have Nazi sympathies and had Nazi sympathies for decades? Absolutely. But were they comfortable in showing that out in public? Absolutely not. Now
Right.
they're being told, yeah, it's cool. You
Yeah.
do that. You attack a Jewish a synagogue, or
Yeah.
make disparaging remarks about Jewish people. That's cool. We're okay with that.
Exactly. And the idea of uh, what was the sign that I saw? White women are for making white babies, right? That's floating around now in
Yeah.
the Trump circles with the
Jesus.
idea of, traditional wife, don't mix the races, that sort of thing. And this is, I first of all, it's hard to understand, right? I don't understand anybody who can think that we're only supposed to procreate with people who look just like us. That's just, it's baffling to me. And then the idea that one race is superior to another, that another race is inferior, to say that out loud, I just don't understand how people aren't revolted by
My
themselves.
my favorite Facebook group, tag group, is called "Why Are White Supremacists Always the Least Supreme Whites?"
With exception, yeah. And it's a great question. And so here we are, in this place where Proud Boys, uh,
Pieces of shit.
and Oath Keepers and
Pieces of
all
shit.
these other groups that have been, waiting for this moment, are suddenly empowered and told, yeah, that's what we're going to do. It's about pulling our group together, and saying, we make an alliance of the group that we're trying to protect. And that's the other thing is they feel like, there are some people who feel like our white privilege is being taken away. The idea that we're supposed to, for whatever reason, benefit more than other people from
Again,
the,
watch the Doug Stanhope bit on nationalism from like 2008. Absolutely perfect. Perfectly
yeah.
sums up all that.
And here we are on the cusp of this moment in time where we are all in a position that we can answer this call, right? Because the call isn't hard. You don't have to go and bear arms right now. You don't have to go and yell at people. All you have to do is stand up for the basic decency that is within us. Stand up for the idea that kindness and compassion are more important to the country than discipline and order. Because we can do one thing. We can be kind, we can be caring towards each other and still talk about a principle of respect that is core to the principle of liberty. Okay,
Yep.
liberty is about respect. Liberty is about me respecting you enough that you get to do whatever the hell you want. That's the core of the liberty movement. It is respect. And
Yeah.
the ultimate goal, the end game of libertarianism is the end of politics as we know it. Because right now, American politics, and honestly, politics everywhere in the world, is about amassing a majority so that you can dictate your vision for what the world should look like. It might be a benevolent vision. I mean, I guarantee you, Democrats think that their vision is what makes a perfect world. But they're wrong. It only makes a perfect world for them. It doesn't make a perfect world for everybody. And For the people who recognize the Ayn Rand core truth, the individual is the ultimate minority, there's a point in time at which the wheel is going to turn and you're going to be on the bottom. And the only way that becomes okay is if you're willing to say all the time, everybody gets the same level of respect, is due the same level of respect. And I get to give that to people by modeling, this is how I treat you with respect. This is how I treat you with respect. When I hear somebody say something that is disrespectful, I stand up. We talked about this when the Libertarian Party really lost its way. Jo Jorgensen made a statement where she said, it's not enough to not be a racist. We should be actively anti-racist. We got all sorts of pushback against that. It's like, no,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
no, blah, blah, blah. And here's the thing. If you're in a room and somebody says the N-word or some other racial slur, are you the sort of person who's going to say, that's not okay to say? We just had a case with the new Libertarian Party chair, Stephen Akela,
Yeah.
on Twitter, using gay as a derogatory term. Now he's going to argue, I was just joking on Twitter with some friends, but
No, he was using it as a pejorative towards someone that he was having an argument with. That's not joking around. That
yeah,
is to use it as a pejorative. Like,
yeah,
no.
exactly. And that is the sort of thing that we can stand up against. And we can
Yeah.
say, that's not okay. Not in my name. You know what? If you are an individual, have the conversations you want to have. But if you are the chair of a national party on the public platform and you're going to use gay, and I was thinking about this the other day. So I can consciously remember 1999 making a decision saying, I'm not going to use gay in that manner anymore. Like I used to all the time. It's like, dude, that is so gay.
Yeah.
And you go back through popular media, Dave, you're only a little bit younger than I am. It was very common in the 80s to
Mhm.
use gay as sort of a derogatory term, even when it wasn't meant to mean gay people. It
Yeah. I
was
mean, it
exactly
was
as you
it
said.
was I mean, it's always been used as a term to kind of question like a guy's manhood
Exactly.
type thing. And yeah, I mean, uh, one of the best things is that we've at least you and I have moved past that idea of using that as a pejorative. Um,
Yeah. And figuring out where we uh, where and how we fight against the people who are still doing that. That's the battle that all of us have to think about
yeah, I
because
mean, if your
it
friend
is
is
important.
doing it, yeah, if your friend is doing it, I mean, you don't have to be like a super dick and call them out on Twitter or Facebook or pull them aside and say, hey, man, that's not cool. You know, they're even if you're joking, there are much better ways to razz a friend, that type of thing.
Well, and there are certainly, I am sensitive to the idea that there is too much political correctness in the world.
Sure.
Uh, you know, there are things that you can make jokes about that aren't necessarily the most. I think I've made several of them on the air during the show. It's all about the context in which things are doing, but also who you are and where you're doing. It's never okay for you to say something in a manner that other people could take as an actual threat, as a rallying of the troops who are actually against you. You know, when Elon Musk says, "Oh, I gave a mock salute,"
A Roman salute.
exactly that sort of thing, right? I mean, that's it, it's a dog whistle. He's testing the waters. He's
Yeah.
trying to see who they can get who's going to come back and be and answer their call.
Well,
Their
and then you
call.
saw in CPAC several people throw
Yep.
the Nazi salute out there, and you know, yeah, people complain, but there's no consequence to these folks.
Right. Yep.
That's
And
the concerning thing.
right. And the consequence has to be, you know, a full accounting, and you know, we do believe in free speech. We believe that you can say what you want, okay, as long as it's not a threat. It's not, I'm going to punch you in the face. Okay, fighting words are fighting words and should be illegal. Fraud should be illegal. But if you're a person who wants to say the N word or the R word or the G word or whatever, I don't think there should be legal consequences against you for that. But everybody should
There's
remember who you are and what you are
yeah,
and treat you accordingly.
that's the thing is that folks that are doing this right now want to be able to do these things without consequence.
Right.
And that is that you know, when people talk about the liberty movement, libertarianism or
Yep.
liberalism, classical liberalism, however you want to couch it. The thing is they think that, you know, I can do whatever I want to. You know, I'm free to, you know, one of the things we heard a lot when they changed the bigotry plank of the Libertarian Party was like, you can't be thought police. We're not asking to be thought police. We're asking to say, you know what, if you put these things out there, you can do that, but you're going to be held to account for it. Whether you lose friends, you lose money, you lose a job, you know, the what you do has some consequence.
Yep.
And, you know, I don't have a problem if, Elon Musk Tesla stock has lost half its value. And, you know, that is a consequence of pissing off your old customer base for Tesla cars, the economic or ecologically conscious consumer, and then doing this with, you know, whatever with Doge, with the ugly ass cyber trucks, um, the incel Caminos. Um, yeah, I mean he is suffering some
These
consequence, but you're
swastikars.
the swastikars and incel Caminos, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, you know, he is suffering some consequence to it, but I think Trump is going to try and protect him as much as possible because he is
Oh yeah. I mean, they're going to get
literally, I think he's taking a lot of the heat that Trump would have been taking. I mean, Trump's taking
absolutely.
heat, but Elon Musk is taking a lot of the heat for Donald Trump at this point.
No, and I mean that's something that Trump has learned from the first term to the second is that
Well,
it's
I no, he perfected it in the first term, in that he had his scapegoats, whether it was McMaster or Steve Bannon or Scaramucci. You know, these people, he would throw the blame onto them and fire them and you know, get his base against them. Um, but it's now on steroids. Like this is the dangerous thing that you know, when Donald Trump started talking about running again, and basically as soon as he lost, the danger of him being reelected is that this is a team that now has experience and knows how to knows where the pitfalls were from the first term and knows how to get past them. What they're doing right now is to get past the pitfalls of the first term. You had career civil servants that stood in the way of a lot of the Trump stuff that he was trying to do in the first term. So their response is to upset the career civil servants and fire as many of them as they can, and then bring in some of their loyalists so that when Trump says something, people jump. Um,
right.
you know, when it comes to having, basically that firewall, that is what Elon Musk is. Now, Elon Musk also is a megalomaniac who wants to, who really wants to be the president.
Yeah.
And this is the closest he'll ever get to doing that because he is, he's
Foreign born.
barred by the Constitution from being president. But I mean, essentially, he is the president right now.
Well, I mean, here's an interesting thing. We were talking about this the other day, right? The $5 million citizenship thing.
Yeah, I think they're all going to have to live in Trump Gaza.
Well, it's funny. That's a really funny phrase. I haven't heard Trump Gaza yet, but that's really good. But, $5 million, right? Again, it's nothing for Elon Musk.
Yeah,
Let's just
no,
say,
it's. I mean, the entire Saudi royal family could be theoretically become U.S. citizens,
oh yeah. Oh, I mean that,
like budget dust.
right. I mean that the so let's just be clear too that beforehand that sort of was there, right? The gold card. But that
Yeah,
sort of was there that you could create a business that employed 10 people and get US citizenship that way.
yep.
So this sort
And
of eliminates the need to do that. But
And it's not unheard of for a country to do this kind of investment,
yeah,
citizenship. I know you can do it in Malta, you can do it throughout Europe.
yep,
Several countries, if you invest, I think Malta is like, if you invest in a business that employs a certain number of people, like $250,000, you can get citizenship in Malta.
yeah.
Um, which is not bad when you think about it. That's
No.
if you got that kind of scratch laying around, that to lay low for a couple of years on
Well,
Malta would probably not be the worst place to be.
I mean, it is interesting to think, though, what's Malta going
Right.
to do to defend you against extradition if,
Sure.
the Chinese want you or whomever?
The Chinese do want me, so
Uh,
'cause I'm too sexy.
it's the one other thing I want to talk about is that I wonder how long before we see David Duke invited to the White House.
Oh God,
I just, I think
that
that
guy still breathes air,
it's crazy. I mean, and we're not
and Gene
advocating.
Hackman doesn't anymore.
We're not advocating for anybody to do anything bad to David Duke. We want to be clear about that. But,
If you want to thump
uh,
him in the nutsack, then
well,
you got my blessing on that one. But
hopefully somebody can identify this movie quote for me. The line where a guy says, "Are you going to put the fear of God into him?" He said, "No, I'm going to put the fear of me into him because I follow through." We've been wondering, where
hmm.
it is interesting to see David Duke still out walking around. Last time I saw him prominently was at Charlottesville, but he's still out there. He's still moving in those
Last I
circles.
heard, he had like a lot of plastic surgery, and he's kind
Yeah,
of
he had a ton of plastic surgery. He looked really weird at Charlottesville. Well, I mean,
racism will do that to you.
being a lizard person will do that to you.
That's true.
Um, it is, I don't know. I think we sort of hit the thing. We started off on Ukraine. We came down to the fundamental idea of nobody, at least I don't think, and nobody in the liberty movement wants us to be involved in a war. Nobody wants us to have to help Ukraine defend itself against Russia. But Ukraine didn't make this war, right?
No, and I mean that's the thing. Like if Ukraine was the aggressor in here, notwithstanding what Trump is trying to tell us,
Right.
if they were the aggressor in this situation, I would, okay, we can say we can have that conversation, but Russia was clearly the aggressor in this,
Well,
and
and
it is right to defend somebody who is being aggressed against.
Russia is the aggressor, and they're trying to spin it like they're not. They're
Yeah.
trying to spin it like the CIA organized a coup in Ukraine where the Russian supported person who was elected, who voted to essentially overruled parliament so that his country would be more aligned with Russia than it was with the EU. Uh, they're arguing that the popular revolution was organized by the CIA.
which is, I mean, it's
It's
it's a common refrain because we did it in
right.
1951 in Iran. Operation Ajax. We CIA's done that. They've done it with they did it with Allende and
Yeah, no, I mean,
I mean,
there's definitely the CIA is not without blame.
oh,
United States is
exactly.
not without blame. However, uh, the the people who took over, right? Parliament voted 328 to 0 to remove the president.
Yeah.
Um, it was not
It's not a
a
coup.
yeah, it's not
It
a
was not
coup.
a CIA coup. It wasn't Operation Ajax by any stretch of the
Exactly,
imagination. It was a
you know,
popular
I mean,
revolution.
right? It was right. It was a revolution, and that's again, that's another thing that I sort of wish if Zelensky, if he gets another interview in the Oval Office on television, which is a little bit of an odd thing anyway. But what I want him to do is to reference the founding fathers and say, we're standing up for ourselves,
The
like
the problem for Zelensky is that Trump and, Couchfucker, um, shouted him down. Like, they wouldn't let him talk. They wouldn't let him say anything. They were talking over him the entire time. So,
yeah,
even if he comes in with all of these brilliant talking points and is not speaking his 3rd language, it really didn't matter because they just they treated him like shit.
yeah. I mean, look, it's definitely an ambush.
Yeah.
Uh, I think that, if it happens again, the most dignified thing you can do sometimes is to not say anything. And that's unfortunate because people want to defend themselves. They want to speak truth to power, which would have been a nice thing to happen here. But the forces that are against truth, and let's be clear, right? When Donald Trump says that Russia did not invade Ukraine, he is against truth. By any definition, the Russians invaded Ukraine. And the that part of it, the perpetuation of that lie, the beginning of that lie, those are the things that it's just going to be incumbent on everybody to stand up for. And I will say too that I think that people could do a better job talking to their representatives because this can't be what the Republican Party wants. You know, I mean, I recognize that there are some,
Seeing we're seeing town halls where Republicans are holding town halls in deeply red districts. There was one in Texas that was broadcast, Texas District 3, where the representative was getting roundly booed, talking about the successes of Doge and other things. And we've seen, you saw the one in deeply red Idaho where the woman was arrested and dragged out,
yeah,
um, where the people are holding where their representatives are actually holding town halls. They are holding them to an account, uh,
right.
but, my thought is you're gonna see Republicans not hold as many town halls in the future, and, to me, I think, we're gonna see Republicans starting to not run for reelection in 2026.
Somebody, and I don't remember who, maybe it was you, suggested that it would be awesome if the Democrats started to have non-denominational town halls and said, you know what, Republicans, we're sorry. Come to our town hall. We will treat you with respect. You will get the floor. You will get to say your piece, and we will honor your words and your participation in our democracy. And that is the way to fight against what's happening here. You have to kill them with kindness.
Yeah,
It can be
I mean,
done.
that was, 2010 when and, the Tea Party ended up being, going off the rails and,
Yeah,
but when it first started, it did kinda start as more of an ecumenical group to fight against, kind of the overreaching Obama administration when it came to the Affordable Care Act and what
Yep.
they did, taxed enough already. Maybe there is room for a third way group to kind of champion that, but what we saw with the Tea Party is that they got basically abducted by the Republican movement
Right.
and really co-opted. And now you've got candidates talking about that I'm not a witch, and
Yeah.
Sharon Angle and some of
Oh
those
my
other
God, that
the
one
Todd
right
Aiken
there.
Todd
I'm not a
Aiken one.
witch.
I'm
That
not a
was
witch. Like, oh man, if you got to go on TV and say you're not a witch, you're done.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There's another crazy thing that happened this week. Um, the
Which
measles.
one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, measles has gotten much worse. And
Yep.
again, you've got Brainworm Bobby, head of Department of Health and Human Services. Um, we're firing
Yeah.
the
I
CDC
so
folks.
I want to say, James is asking if I want a level fair argument. I'm certainly willing to address any points along the way. Um, I think that you know there is a core, and I recognize that Dave and I have an advantage here in that we have the microphones, but it's important to
I
understand
paid for the
that
microphone, sir.
yeah, it's important to understand though that there is not an absolute truth, except that we are all human beings and individually entitled to be respected.
Sure.
That's it. Everything else is sort of contrivances of government placed upon us. The uh, the
Yeah.
issue. Well, so I was going to say, and let me advise other people who are out there. So I went and got another measles shot because
Yeah.
I am in the age. If you were born in between 1957 and 1968, they're advising you to get another measles shot because it was a different vaccine then. Now, one of the fascinating things about that and doing this research was I'm like, well, so what was up with the vaccine before 1957? As it turns out, there was no vaccine before 1957,
Yep.
and it is assumed that every person who is alive who was born before 1957 has had the measles because it's that virulent. It
Yeah.
is
I
that
mean,
contagious. Now, sometimes some people can get the measles and not even know they had it. Some people get the measles and go blind, go deaf.
get
60,000 in
encephalitis. Yeah.
right, right. In the 50s, before the vaccine, 60,000 Americans went blind a year from the measles. Between 5 and 10% of the cases of deafness in the United States were caused by the measles. It's an unbelievably terrible uh, disease, incredibly infectious. They talk about the fact that if you get people together in a room, 100 people together in a room, let's say we're going to go to Arby's, right? There's a big roast beef sale on, and we got 100 people go there, and somebody has COVID. Roughly speaking, 7 to 8 people of those 100 in the room will get COVID from the one person who's infectious. And we consider COVID pretty infectious. But if somebody comes in with the measles, 92% of the people in the room are going to get the measles
Yeah.
because
I mean,
it's that bad.
and it's not just blindness and deafness. Like Roald Dahl, British author, his
Charlie and the
oldest
Chocolate
daughter
Factory.
died of encephalitis. It was 1962, so the vaccine was available at that point. It was just not as widely available at that
Yep,
point. And she got measles. Um, started feeling tired, and within a day was dead
yep,
from encephalitis. And the this is what we're looking at in West Virginia. We're now doing there's a bill that is moving through. I'm not exactly sure where it's at in the process. I know it's passed at least one of the houses where they want to stop. Well, they're giving exemptions to kids to not be vaccinated, and they're part of that bill is to not even keep track of the amount of kids that are vaccinated in the state of West Virginia. So we don't even know what the herd immunity of West Virginia will be if this bill is fully passed and signed into law. And that's just asinine to me. Um, they try and couch the idea of us keeping track of the percentage of children who are vaccinated as some sort of tax, and I don't know how they've justified it, but we've got some weird folks in West Virginia that are pushing this idea, and quite honestly, it's not going to end well. The West Virginia has its own healthcare issues to begin with. Um, and, we've talked about the budget that was passed this week that's currently in conference and, reconciliation. Um, if the changes to the budget go through, West Virginia hospitals are gonna suffer. We're not gonna have as many, especially the rural healthcare, nursing homes, things like that. We are gonna have so many issues in West Virginia just from healthcare alone, and we're compiling with the anti-vax stuff and the Medicare, Medicaid stuff. Say what you want to about those programs, whether they're, wasteful spending and all that stuff, but what's coming to red states, I think and I think what is coming to America, people don't really understand the depth of what is coming. They're nowhere near prepared. When
Yeah.
we talk about the pressures that are coming through with what they're talking about with regards to the budget, and yes, we're $38 trillion in debt, and you can't mentally fathom what 38 trillion is. If every dollar of 38 trillion was a second, you know how many years that would be?
38 trillion divided by 365 divided by 3600. A lot. I don't know.
It is 1.2 million years.
Wow.
1.2 million years.
Yeah,
That
no,
is
it's right. The number is insane.
yeah, you can't I mean, even thinking about Elon Musk's wealth is a number that is very hard to wrap your head around.
Yep.
Um, uh, but the impacts that are coming to your state, especially red states where by and large red states are taker states when it comes to the federal budget. They
Yep.
take money from the federal budget more than they send into the federal budget.
Right.
So the programs that you have there that are generally underfunded to begin with, you're going to be suffering.
Yeah.
Um,
It is I mean, the easiest way to get the budget under control is the way that we've done it in the past, a balanced budget. That doesn't have to hurt anybody. I mean, and honestly, we don't even have to do that right away. We can just say no new spending. Okay? So nobody has to get fired. But if you say there's no more new spending, government is not going to increase. But the size of the economy will increase. And so eventually the debt
will
will be
catch
paid
up.
down. Exactly.
I
All
mean, it's still. I mean, it's still a ways when our budget deficit per year and the difference between the deficit and the debt. Deficit is what we add every year.
right.
Debt
That
is
is the
the
total amount.
cumulative total, and there's also projected debt based off of our entitlement programs that we have that are like
Yep.
Social Security that are going to add to that eventually. Um, to winnow down the deficit has I mean, there's only been what 2 years in the last 50 that we've had
Right.
positive.
But
uh,
those happened because we had a balanced budget.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, but you're right. We had 2 years. We turned we didn't get rid of the deficit. We just had a government surplus for 2 years.
yeah.
And people were like, fuck it. I mean, to be fair, it was really 9/11 that sort of killed it at that point in time. It might have kept going otherwise. But
Yeah.
here we are again. And what's happening, right? I mean, government is too large. It is out of control. I don't think anybody has any questions about that. The question is, is the right place is the right way to do things to go after the Parks Department first? I mean, the military is crazy out of control.
Yeah. I mean,
Spending
that's the thing. Like they talk about these audits and that Doge is identifying the overspending. Uh, we've had a agency that has failed several audits already. And you didn't need to go in and do an additional audit on the
Yep,
Department of Defense.
yep,
They've lost trillions of dollars. Like,
yep,
if there's a place to start looking, it's not the Department of Health and Human Services. It's not even the Department of Education. If you think that the Department of Education is a waste,
right,
the Department of Defense is the epicenter of wasted tax dollars.
right. Well, and that's the thing is that I think, you and I both probably agree that the Department of Education is completely unnecessary. We didn't have a Department of Education until Carter came in. Um, and Democrats, Jerry Brown opposed the Department of Education at the time. But
Yeah, I mean, I think, I think with the Department of Education, here's the thing, like, people said, "Oh, it's gonna be great to get rid of the Department of Education because 'cause they're gonna take that money and they're gonna send it back to the states." No, they're not.
you
None of the stuff that they've talked about when it comes to getting rid of government programs and the stuff that they've done is talk about reblocking that money out to the states. It's we're saving money. And
right,
yeah, I mean, yes, we're $38 trillion in debt. You can make that argument that we can't send the money back to the states, but states like West Virginia who have constitutional requirements when it comes to educational spending are going
yep,
to have a massive budget hole because they were dependent on Department of Education dollars coming into the state. Again, they take a ton of money from the federal government
right.
because
And
we've been so bad so long.
the reason for going after the Department of Education isn't the mismanagement of money, because on
It's
the
a
grand
duplication
scheme
of
of things,
services.
right, in the grand scheme of things, it's just not a lot of money, relatively speaking.
No.
But it is the tying of money to academic agendas and the idea that there is a one size fits all educational plan for the entire United States.
Yeah.
Now, look,
I mean,
I
there are some
personally,
things that we can talk about, like Title IX.
right,
You know, is it, what becomes of Title IX if the Department of Education goes away? Um, and things like that. And I know that there are some people who are like would celebrate the idea that Title IX going away, or at least the federal enforcement of Title IX, would allow for reinvestment of things like
men's
sports
football
dollars
teams.
at
Yeah,
universities. Yeah, I mean, um, we already got the case where the NIL, name, image, and likeness deals now don't have to be divvied up evenly between men's and women's teams. So, yeah, I mean, there is a push, but to me, I think Title IX is a good thing. Um, I, I I don't know. Um,
I
the
agree.
the
Uh,
Department of Education, like I get most of the reason why getting rid of it does make sense in some terms, in that it is a duplication of a service that is done at the state level. um, that it would make much more sense to get that money to the state level. The problem is the states that like West Virginia, like
Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Yeah,
I mean, how are they going to spend the
but
money
I tell you
on
what,
education?
those states haven't gotten significantly better
Yeah,
during
oh yeah,
the
no,
50
not at
years,
all.
right? I mean, next
Look at
year is
national educational standards that have our test scores, versus other countries in the years since the Department of Education's been around. You can make the
yep,
case that it's been a drag.
yeah, no question about it. Department of Education was created in 1979, so we're
Yep.
coming up on the 50th anniversary of
Or
it.
yeah, 45 years now.
During that time, things have not gotten significantly better
No,
in the let's not say the idiot states, but let's say the inbred states, the states where it is legal to marry
it's
your
not
first.
legal in West Virginia. Just understand you can't marry your cousin in West Virginia.
You can't marry your first cousin in West Virginia?
Nope, nope,
Interesting.
can't. Yeah, you can't. I don't think you can cohabitate in a relationship with a
Wow.
cousin in West Virginia. I
Well,
think it's
I will say Massachusetts doesn't have a law about that.
yeah. You don't have to have a law about that. At least West,
Exactly.
West Virginia does a lot of things. So I mean,
Right. West Virginia had to have a law
well,
against incest because, you know,
well,
and that certainly affects education. I think that you're going to see uh, a better outcome when
I think it's going to be
states,
even.
yeah,
I think it's going to be uneven. It's going to be. I mean, like it is
I
now.
mean,
Yeah, I mean,
right,
like it is now.
exactly.
I don't think it's going to get any better.
Well, I think that what will happen is that people are more motivated to fix things locally than they are if they
Oh
think the
no, I
federal
mean,
government
I'm
might go
looking. I'm looking at parents nowadays, and their idea of education and parenting is sliding a tablet in front of their kid. Um, I don't.
Khan Academy. Yeah,
Khan Academy would be great if they were going to Khan Academy. They're probably watching. At best they're watching Blue's Clues. Um, but I don't know. Education is we should do another show on education and how to fix education because there's lots of things that I think education needs a stem to stern from K to postgraduate level reimagining
yeah. I
to
mean,
deal with
it's
today's needs.
it is interesting, and I agree. We could do a separate show on that. It would be interesting to
Oh
get some
yeah,
of our teacher friends on. Uh, as a person who, uh, traditional education did not work for me. Uh, I was very lucky that my parents were serious academics and were able to put things in front of me. We were talking about this the other day. My wife is currently reading Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is excellent. Um, and we were talking about it, and I don't want to do spoilers for people who haven't read it, but at one point in time, one of the women, Lucy, becomes infected with vampirism, and they end up she and her fiance and Arthur and Jonathan Harkins, who's the main character, who's not Dracula, uh, end up having to kill her. And we're talking about that, and she's like, "When did you read this?" Because in our current relationship, I mean, she and I have been married for 22 years now. 20, no, we're married in 2001, so
23.
24 years
Yeah.
this year. Um, she's like, I don't see you reading a lot of books anymore. And I'm like, it's true. I don't read a lot of books anymore. I mean, I probably read, I don't know, 10 or 15 books a year now. But when I was a kid, I read all the time. And I read Dracula. I remember very clearly. I was 9 years old. Um, because my parents understood that was how I learned, right? I learned by having all that stuff in front of me at one time. I just want to say I am not pro West Virginia. I am.
You're anti West Virginia?
I like East Virginia. I
Oh,
like I
least
like
Virginia,
I
least
like
least vagina.
I like Virginias that don't lose. Uh,
Hey,
sorry.
no, old Virginia lost the Civil War. Just remember that.
Oh no, I'm talking about national championship games.
Hmm.
Um, I don't. Has West Virginia won a national championship in anything? Except I know you guys won the cornhole national championship, but it was the alternative
Only with
cornhole.
consent.
Well, exactly. It wasn't actually the beanbag cornhole. It was actually inserting a cornhole as a way to a corn.
Ew.
Uh, But it's funny because, we're talking about West Virginia and education. That was one of the big deals when Sesame Street came out, right? And it started to get funding, and there was a real pushback in West Virginia. They're like, why do we need a national push for educational television when we've got Hee Haw?
Actually, I really do like when I first moved to West Virginia, one of the TV stations I watched all the time was West Virginia Public Broadcasting because it, gave me a lot of history about the state of West Virginia and
Yep.
learning about how it was founded and all that stuff. And they show the legislature, which is borderline pornography. Um, you know, uh,
Yeah.
if when you move to a new state, watch your local PBS. Like I know that some libertarians have problems with public broadcasting. Again of I think the moment that Mitt Romney really lost the 2012 election was going after Big Bird.
Yeah.
Like what is the biggest thing? You're going after Big Bird, really?
Yeah.
Of all the things that we spend money on in the United States as a
Well,
government, public broadcasting
and it's interesting too because you think about
and the binder's
what
full of women too.
so all right, and we got to get to the quiz, but you're leading me up to my last sort of conspiracy theory thing. I think about this all the time that if Mitt Romney had won, we would have a very different Republican Party than
Oh
what
yeah.
we have now, right? And it would have been bad for the Democrats because Romney represented a kinder, gentler uh, interpretation and a much more sensible one.
Yeah.
Now we're in this pattern of action and reaction, and it just gets worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
And I do think I'm not sure, but I do think the country is going to survive Trump. I mean, it's not 50-50, but
I
I'd
don't
say,
know. I mean,
but
I think I'm on the fence that Trump actually. I mean, outside of from with a, and I'm not advocating for
right, a
any
violent
violence to
Trump.
come, but yeah, I don't think he leaves the White House in anything other than a body bag, just because I think he'll try and hold on to power until
It's going to be interesting. I
we,
mean, part of me does think, how do we awaken the JD Vance that called Trump Hitler?
uh,
To get back into our Hitlerism.
I think there are a lot of people that
I mean,
especially like I like JD Vance, who
is
wants who wants the power and
but
now sees that the power that Trump is usurping for himself, he wants that for himself. Like
but
he wants to take
maybe
that over.
I mean that's certainly possible, but maybe JD Vance is Anakin, right? And all he needs is for his son to say, "I know there's still good in you, Father. I can sense it."
Did you see JD Vance getting booed going up to
I did.
that snow the ski lodge in Vermont?
Yep.
Pretty savage. So
I mean,
all
and it's
right,
all right. Let's do the quiz.
let's quiz it up.
Yeah. Hey, thanks to everybody who's listening along because
Yeah,
we had some great comments there, and I know we didn't get to
we did.
all of them, but keep pushing those comments in the thing because we do read them
Even if
while
you're
we're
just
talking.
even if you want to just riff jokes, that's all good for me. You keep me entertained
Mhm.
during the show. All right. Five things news quiz. So this was on February 28th. So this was done on Friday. Friday. Got to get down on Friday. Um,
Right. So
so
before,
before the meltdown in the Oval Office, though.
yeah,
So, a religious gathering, a massive blackout, and nationwide egg shortage. What do you remember from the week that was? Question
is it,
number one: which American restaurant chain added a surcharge to egg-based meals due to bird flu shortages?
are
McDonald's,
you?
Denny's, IHOP, or Chick-fil-A?
I actually don't
Chick-fil-H.
know this. I knew that Waffle House did, so I'm going to
I
guess it's
knew
IHOP.
Waffle House did.
Yeah, it makes sense to me that it's IHOP. But have you been affected by the egg shortage at all?
I don't generally eat egg.
Interesting.
I'm not a big fan of eggs. I mean, I will. Sunny side up is my go-to egg
Yep.
variety, but I don't eat eggs. I'm not a big breakfast
Oh,
fan to begin with. So
Brandy and Kathy, who I must say are among the smarter of our listeners, both say Denny's. So I'm inclined to go with them and say Denny's.
I'm trying to get down to the bottom of the chat here. Yep, Brandy has Denny's and Kathy has Denny's. Well, let's do Denny's.
Nice
Correct. Denny's
job.
has joined a growing number of restaurants responding to the nationwide egg shortage by adding a temporary surcharge to egg-based meals.
So we have
Lovely.
7 chickens. We got 6 eggs today, which is pretty good for this
Dude,
early in the spring.
sell them
And
at the man.
we are at the limit, right? We can't eat 6 eggs every day.
Yeah.
So although I did make a very nice egg fried rice today, that was awesome.
Well, there you go. That's where I would probably eat more eggs than anything is fried rice.
Egg fried rice, frittata, man. You can't go wrong with a
Hmm.
frittata. I
You
mean,
know what?
essentially, it's just you know butter a pie pan, put in spinach, cheese, sausage, bacon. Don't put the cheese in yet. Spinach, sausage, bacon, onions, whatever you want. Cheese across the top, tomato slices across that, bake it in the oven. It's amazing. And for
I
those
could live with
people
that.
who want to know the difference between frittata and a quiche, quiche has a crust.
Crust. Yeah.
Yeah.
Question number 2. President Donald Trump said the U.S. will soon sell a gold card to wealthy foreigners, giving them a right to live and work in the country. About around how much will the gold card cost?
Yep.
20,000, 300,000, 1 million, or 5 million?
Kathy already got it.
Kathy already got it. $5 million.
$5
5 million
million.
foot long.
Or, as people like to refer to it now, 2 weeks of Major League Baseball contract.
Is that Otani's or no Soto's contract?
Yep.
Uh, it would be nice. It would be nice. I'll sit on a major league bench for 2 weeks to cash that in.
Yep.
Question
Yep.
number 3. Hell, I'll take a fastball to the dome for that.
Well, it's funny because when Peter McNeely came back, and Peter McNeely was the first guy to fight Tyson after Tyson got out of jail, and
Mm.
nobody really wanted that fight uh, because people thought Tyson's really mad. He might really hurt somebody. But McNeely, who's from Boston, stood up and did it for $10 million. And Dennis Leary was on a talk show, who's also from Boston, and he said, he was saying, is it worth it? Is it worth the risk? That Tyson could really hurt you. He's like, $10 million, $10 million to fight Mike Tyson. I would suck Mike Tyson's dick for $10 million, right? I'd do it on my grandma's living room table. I'd spend $1 million on mouthwash. How bad could it taste? I mean, $10 million. I'd be like, hey, Nana, you want some of this for $1 million?
Oh my god. Question number 3. The world's largest religious gathering wrapped up this week. Where did the holy festival occur? India, China, Italy, or Spain? I'm going to say the colors I'm seeing back there is probably India.
It is 100% India. It takes place in the northern part, but it's a huge gathering. It lasts for months. Yeah.
620 million people.
Kumbh Mela.
Kumbh
Yep.
Mela. Okay. It's this festival of the sacred pitcher, but not the sacred catcher.
Right, exactly. It's you can just say Sandy Koufax.
There you go. Question number 4. Which U.S. retailer is going out of business and shuttering all of its stores?
I know this one.
Macy's, Best Buy, Joann, or Kohl's?
Do you know it?
I do not know this one.
What if I were to tell you it was a fabric store?
Joann's?
Yes, that is correct.
I mean, that goes with Big Lots is going out of business or has gone out of business. Yep, Brandy got it.
Yeah, in general, I mean, obviously brick and mortar retail is having a hard time, especially like if you keep inventory lying around.
Yeah.
That's just
Honestly, I mean, look, folks, we talk about this, we've got kind of this oligarchic class leading us right now. Um, and they're all kind of lining up into the Trump order, but we saw it at the inauguration. Um, I know on Friday we had this economic blackout. If you are going to spend money when they do something like that, go to a local store,
my
especially mom and pop businesses in your area. Don't punish them for Amazon sucking. Uh, uh, go to a local restaurant, go to a local antique store. Don't just go onto Amazon because it's easier.
yeah,
Walmart because it's easy.
one of my exes is a New York Times best-selling author. Name is Susanna Sonnenberg, and right. One of the things that she used to do was anytime we would be out, uh, she would go into a local bookstore, find copies of her books on the shelf, and just autograph them. Then say, for free, here's the bookstore. Now, the bookstore can sell that for more money. The publisher doesn't get any of that money or anybody else. Just helps the bookstore to make, 20
Nice.
extra bucks, 50 extra
That's
bucks,
awesome.
whatever. Yeah.
This weekend we rode through Middletown, Maryland, which is the hometown of Nora Roberts.
Hmm.
Um, and she does a lot of her local signings there in Middletown. So, question number 5: which country declared a state of emergency this week following a massive electricity blackout? Brazil, Chile, Denmark, or Norway?
I don't know this.
I
I'm
wonder.
going to guess.
Wonder if
Yeah.
Vista Solabuses. I'm gonna say that's probably Brazil.
Yeah. I would have guessed Brazil because it's going to be someplace where they're dealing with heat wave.
Oh, Brandy says
Brand says
Chile.
Chile.
Chile. Let's do Chile.
All right. C.
Brandy is correct. Voodoo Child,
Mucho
light
gusto,
return.
Brandy.
Chile's President Gabriel Boric
Blamed electric
blames
companies.
the electric companies. Wow, interesting.
Did
Okay,
you ever watch the Electric Company as a child? The TV
I
show
did
on
not watch
PBS?
the electric company. I don't know why. I just never got into it. So, question number 6: what percentage of U.S. food supply is made up of ultra processed foods? 30%, 50%, 70%, or 90%?
Traditionally, we take an outlier here. I have no idea. My guess is going to be 50%, but it wouldn't shock me if it's 70%.
It wouldn't shock me if it's 70% either.
All right. Well, if we both think it.
Anybody? Oh, Brandy
Oh,
says
Brandy
30.
says 30. Brandy's been on
Brandy's been,
fire.
yeah.
But that seems low to
Oh
me.
no, it was 70 though.
Brandy, we hit it. You're fired,
Why,
Brandy.
Brandy? Why? No,
Yeah.
I'm just
Oh, Kathy had it. All
Kathy
right.
had it.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, ultra processed foods are which are made of with ingredients you wouldn't normally find in a
Cigars and
supermarket in
whiskey.
your country, make up to 70% of the food supply. Wow. All right, question number 7. A string of aviation mishaps have raised concerns about air travel safety. Which airline was involved in a near collision on a Chicago runway this week? Alaska, Southwest American, or United?
I know this one.
I mean, Elon Musk tweeting out asking for a retired. Now, generally, air traffic controllers are forced to retire at an early age because of the amount of stress that their job. It's like police officers are kind of forced to retire at like 55 due to work stress,
Interesting. I wasn't aware of that,
or at
but
least investigators are. Yeah, like our
I do know
IT.
that it's a good job that you can get without a college degree, and within 3 years, you're making over 120,000.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
got Southwest.
it is Southwest.
South by Southwest.
Yeah,
Yes, it was DEI. DEI did it.
exactly. The I'm gonna spoil people who haven't done their Wordle yet. I'm about to say what the Wordle word was for today. So if you don't want to know it, turn your volume down. 3, 2, 1. The Wordle word was deity. And
Was it immediately banned?
well, some people posted you can't spell deity without DEI.
There you go.
All right.
Question number 8. Which country marked 3 years of war with Russia this week? We've talked about them quite a bit today. North Korea, Iraq, Iran, or Ukraine?
It's crazy that it was 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah. And really no progress at all.
Oh, I know. Like,
Uh,
again, this is like the Iran-Iraq war in that a lot of fighting for not much territory gained
yeah.
either way.
Yeah. I mean, Russia does control the eastern provinces, but it
Not
is
well.
not well, and it's just you compare it to the last time Russia was in a major ground war, right? Within 3 years, the Germans were knocking at the door of Moscow.
Yeah. Question number 9. Which tech company says it will invest $500 billion in U.S. facilities to avoid certain tariffs?
This one I know.
Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, or Oracle?
We were talking about these guys last week. It's having way too much cash on hand.
I don't remember what happened last week.
Hmm.
But I think it was Apple, right?
It is Apple.
At Apple. Apple announced Monday it will invest $500 billion to expand U.S. facilities, a move that could help it avoid new tariffs on goods imported from China. China.
China.
All right, question number 10 for a 9 out of 10 week. The next crewed mission for the private space company Blue Origin will carry an all-female crew, including which pop star? Taylor Swift, Mariah Carey, Madonna, or Katy Perry?
Would it help you if I told you that this was Kim Jong Un's favorite pop star?
Well, I know who it is, but I didn't know that was his favorite pop star.
Well, according to the movie The Interview, it figures prominently in the story.
Brandy's got it.
Baby, you're a firework.
Will they
Do
bring up
you
the
ever
the
feel
will they
like
bring
a
up
flash
the left
spark?
side shark for this one
I don't
from her
know.
Super Bowl performance?
Yes, Left Shark.
Left shark.
Um,
Yeah, Katy Perry is among the 6-person crew will launch on Blue Origin's new Shepard vehicle. The company is the jokes will write themselves as something goes wrong.
yes,
If it blows up,
fireworks.
maybe she's a firework.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry. I apologize to everybody with
I
that.
actually don't know any of her other songs except for the "I Kissed a Girl" song.
She did that redemption song for
Oh, the Roar.
the Friday, that Friday singer. I alluded to the song earlier. Friday, got to get down on Friday. Um, last Friday night, I think was the name of the song, where she had her
Yeah,
in the
last Friday
video.
night. Yeah, I know that one.
Um, there was the one where she's making out with Russell Brand, which that
Oh, she
whole
did that. She did California Girls,
yeah,
but Roar is the good one, I
yeah,
think. Hot
yes.
and Cold, E.T. featuring Kanye West.
Well,
Um,
things we
that
regret.
song is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. So 9 out of 10 this week, not bad. Um, so we'll figure things out. Hopefully we can get Joe back on the show. We're having he was not on a laptop today, so he's trying to join on a phone and it was not working out for us. So hopefully we can get Joe back on the show next
yeah.
week. But thanks everyone for joining us on the political deep dive. We really appreciate you watching us. If you're out there, out and about, give us a like, share,
Like,
subscribe,
share,
push all of the buttons.
subscribe.
Yes.
I made up those
it
hand
really helps
signals
us
just
out.
now.
Yeah, it really
But
helps us out.
it is important, guys, that, the show is growing, and you guys are early influencers. So, even
Early
when we
influencers.
hit, I mean, we're pretty close to 1 million listeners right now. When we get to 1 million listeners, well, I mean, I'm just going by
Watch
that
out.
number under the subscribe button up
Oh,
there.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
You just watch out though, because then they're gonna start asking for that money from the music that I'm playing. So,
right. Exactly. Exactly.
but
Either
hey,
way,
if I get charged money, that means we're reaching a massive audience, and that's fine. That's good for me. So, anyway, thanks for joining us on the Political Deep Dive. We will see everybody next week. Have a good one,
say,
everybody.
say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.